Hello, everyone, and welcome to Loyalty 2.0, Points, Perks, and Profits. I'm Mary Beth Shepard, SVP of Marketing from Seven Rooms, and I'm honored to introduce this session. This panel will cover the hottest trends in next-gen loyalty, going far beyond points and rewards to leverage customer habits and provide world-class service and opportunities for upselling. Seven Rooms is dedicated to helping the world's largest hospitality brands deliver memorable, top-tier experiences, so I'm especially excited to hear from this fantastic panel. The discussion is moderated by Anna Wolf, Senior Editor of Hospitality Technology, and features Toby Malbec, Managing Director at ConStrata Technology Consulting, Reed Daniel, President of Red's Savoy Pizza, and Al Hank, SVP of Operations for Famous Dave's. Please welcome our panelists.
Hi, welcome to Loyalty 2.0. I have here with me a great panel today. I have with me Toby Malbec of ConStrata Technology Consulting, Al Hank with Famous Dave's, and Reed Daniels with Red's Savoy Pizza. Welcome. Let's jump right in. Since COVID-19, restaurant tech adoption has been on steroids, especially as it pertains to streamlining the customer digital ordering experience and improving ops. Driving business and repeat business is top of mind for all brands, and a robust loyalty program is a strong tool to leverage. At your brand, how has digital ordering and the mobile app evolved in recent months? Al, let's start with you.
Hi, Anna. How you doing? Thanks for having me. Yeah, I think obviously the pandemic, as many people in the industry have said, has forced probably 2-3 years worth of innovation and technology in our restaurants and shoved it into about 2 to 3 months of our time. Specifically for the brand that I work with and Famous Dave's, mobile app online ordering has always been a big player for us. 50% of our revenue is through off-premise channels. I think probably where we saw the biggest change in our environment was the frequency of that online ordering, and then continuing to make that process after the online ordering experience was completed, the rest of it, the curbside aspect, the rapid pickup, notifications in the parking lot, two-way communication. That's really where we put our pedal to the metal, looking to streamline that experience for the guests. And then specifically on the loyalty side, I think it became, adoption into the program became obviously a roadblock for us. We didn't have tons of traffic flowing into our restaurants. For a good period of time, we had no traffic flowing into our restaurants. We were just trying to make that interaction with the guests as contactless as possible. So then we realized, okay, we have to leverage other aspects for loyalty. One of the things that we adopted early on was separating out our loyalty into different segments, where we would typically have our loyalty app and our full-blown loyalty guest, as you would. We created a separate SMS standalone program where there was no app download. It was a very seamless 1, 2, 3 texting a short code. So we almost kind of bucketed a new group of a consumer into our loyalty, in which the ease of adoption or the ease of use from the guest perspective was far easier than, and not to say that downloading an app is hard, but not having that interaction one-to-one with one of your team members in the restaurant. So we quickly deployed that, and we saw more than double digits of redemptions and et cetera, continue to rise as we utilize the SMS platform. And then obviously we continue to do push notifications, and then we also had to take a real strong look at our callbacks and our retention inside of those apps, and really adjust them to the times. We had to, very quickly early on, within the first week, we had a guest reach out to us saying, "I can't believe you're promoting me to come into the restaurant for a free birthday dessert." So we quickly had to re-engage all of our offers, and literally overnight, we had to rewrite our entire loyalty program and figure out a way that we can continue to engage our guests. And that's kind of some of the ways that we did it.
Mm-hmm. Great. Oh, Reed, how about over at Red's?
Yeah, so we have 16 locations of pizza, predominantly takeout and delivery. So like in terms of the industry, we're fortunate enough to be open and active and everything like that. We switched over our online ordering provider in late March. So right after the pandemic kind of really got hit, it was about 10 days after. the government shutdown here in Minnesota. And so luckily, you know, our POS provider, our online ordering provider is our loyalty provider as well. So one of our key points in doing that was the integration between the systems so that our guests had a seamless experience to redeem their rewards and earn points and all of that kind of stuff. And where, you know, very similar to Al, we had to figure out how to hurry up on the curbside, you know, and so we, you know, we're, you know, being 16 units and significantly smaller, we relied on our partners' innovation, and Paytronics has been amazing in that way to help us with the curbside and help us get that information down to our team so that, you know, the guests, you know, when you have Domino's with the big juggernaut in the space with 5,000 units or whatever they have now, pushing contactless and everything like that, you know, the guest doesn't care, that they expect you to as well. So we had to hop on that right away. When it comes to loyalty, you know, very similar to the birthday rewards, we're switching our birthday reward to a lunch. At the same time we were rolling out this our switch over to online. Well, our lunch business went to hell in a handbasket. And so, you know, our lunch and our catering and everything like that. So pushing and switching our offers to be more valuable or used or anything like that. But we've seen our takeout and delivery numbers continue to climb since the end. And part of it is using our loyalty program to say, learn more about the guest to figure out where they've changed, you know, whether they were, you know, once a week lunch or twice a week lunch or, you know, 3 times a month, but it could be a combination. And we're seeing them heavily pick up and to go delivery for dinner, and then how to optimize their basket, you know, how to, you know, upsell or offer wings or a salad or cheese bread or something like that they may not have done if they were a lunch customer and stuff like that. And just getting realizing what they've done and realizing what they haven't done and trying to offer stuff that makes sense to them. You know, I know that Toby talks a lot about one-to-one, you know, and, you know, if your customer always orders salads, then why are we going to throw them our meat raffle pizza, you know, and stuff like that. So just learning a little bit more about how their preferences have changed even over the last 6 months.
So I'll start with you, Reed. So how important is making, you know, those personalized offers that may be ever changing these days, and, you know, during the pandemic as people's schedules are, you know, upended by, you know, work from home and you know, homeschooling their children. And can you tell us a little bit about the tools that you use to make data actionable?
Yeah, I think that the funny thing for me is that there's like a meme or something. It's like the Maury Povich show. It's like, you don't know me, or maybe that's Jerry Springer. I don't know. That was back in the day. But it is completely poignant when it comes to loyalty. You know, hey, like I said with the vegan or the vegetarian, or, you know, you if you talk to a guest or even a survey afterwards, like, hey, how was your cheese bread? And then they didn't get cheese bread. You're like, why am I getting this? You don't, like, there's a disconnect. And right now, specifically with COVID and specifically with everything that's going on, it's about trust. You know, I think that's why what brands have been successful or as successful comparatively to independents in this, and it's unfortunate, is they're more trusted because that's what brands are. You know, there's a repeated process. And, you know, how many locations do you guys have?
Roughly 130 of Famous Dave's.
Right. So, like, you know, at 130 locations, the guest experiences and is hoping for the exact same thing everywhere they go. And so, you know, when it comes to that personalized message, it is, hey, if I know Reed is going to be there at the Edina location, I still expect that when I go to another location or 3 other locations, they're still going to know me a little bit. And whether or not it is buying patterns or buying history or all that kind of stuff, it just matters because that's what you want, is, you know, that hometown-ish feel. And that's what we can do with loyalty and some of that personalization. I think it's incredibly important to your business.
Awesome. Well, Al, I know that you and I have talked in the past about building trust. And can you talk a little bit about, you know, how Famous Dave's has, you know, been able to, you know, continue to develop that one-on-one relationship with customers, and using data and making relevant offers.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think, in a previous interview that we did, I had said that, our biggest name in the game was trust. And trust comes from education, right? So not only educating our team members at the time when that was happening, but also educating the guests. I think what's something that's interesting that we've been kind of analyzing, especially through loyalty, is that yes, behaviors, personalized message, all of that same, but behaviors have evolved and changed so drastically. So a lot of that historical, it wasn't even really relevant, especially in the early times during COVID. What I learned really early on was, yes, they wanted engagement, but they wanted convenience, flexibility, and tell me what is the best deal that I can get right now. And what I learned early on was that we learned, bundling of meals, family packages, that type of stuff, where typically that historical, analyzing that data, the guest would always come in for lunch and always get a cheeseburger, was the same guest that now was ordering a family pack once every other week from us and taking that home. I think we learned really early on that, as takeouts began to rise through April and May, I know I experienced it myself. I got really tired of asking my family every night, what do you want for dinner? And doing that pass along throughout the living room and et cetera. So the quicker we could bundle these meals, put them together. And then I think as we began to deploy that, as you tie it into the loyalty aspect is where the messaging came in. Education of the consumer, of the guest, letting them know, okay, this week we're doing this. We have daily deals. So if you're looking for that $5 entry point or $7 entry point, or you're looking to feed that family of $5 for $30, we can do that. So we were keeping the offers relevant, knowing that yes, that historical data was there, but I don't know that it was necessarily that it was really relevant at the time during the pandemic, because that behavior had changed so drastically with the consumer. So I think for us, we continue to analyze that twice a week and really understanding PMIX, where that's going, how that consumer behavior is going. And really for us, it's just been continuing to get as many people as we can into that loyalty program to build that trust education piece. And then obviously they receive the benefits as well as the organization.
Mm-hmm. Can you share with me how you're marketing your loyalty program to consumers?
Yeah, so that's another great point. We actually went through a whole in-store POP analysis and review 2 months ago. We were very much about the tabletop, the card, and then all of a sudden it became, okay, we can't do this. We don't have as many people coming in the door. We've created large kind of like stanchion signs in the to-go areas, also on the exterior of the building that are visible to the guests as a curbside. We've also put them on the takeout parking lot signs. Where we can just text a short code to join loyalty, which is kind of that separate segment where you can only just be a part of SMS and nothing else. We can work on conversion to full-blown app and et cetera later. We have marketing through obviously various email channels and paid social campaigns, QR codes obviously inside of the restaurant, what we're doing. We're also using bag flips, so going into every single takeout bag, a very short to the point, you get this by doing this, right? You don't have to give me the whole gamut of all the disclaimers and all that. You can bury that, but it's very much, join this, you're going to get this, you receive this immediately. I think the consumer having something actionable that they can take advantage of right then and there is key. I see oftentimes, we had a little conversation before this about giving stuff away. I see a lot of operators be very hesitant to give them something at the immediate point of transaction, where they say, no, they got to come back. And I firmly disagree with that. I get you're trying to drive the incremental visit, but it's your job as an operator to execute at a high level to drive that incremental visit. It's not necessarily the offer. I can, as long as I have that customer's information and I can contact them, sure, I can entice them 6 ways to Tuesday. But if my job is to try and drive the trial or drive the acquisition when I have them and I have their attention, whether it's through something in a to-go bag or I have them in the to-go counter or whatever that interaction may be, I want to give them that offer right then and there. I want that acquisition to happen. I want to get it, and then we can handle the rest from there. I see too often people are so worried about not giving them anything and just assuming they're going to do it. Give them something to entice the download, entice the text message, something like that.
Yeah, reel them in while you got them.
There is something that you just said, Al, that I thought, like QR codes. 5 years ago, like I loved them, but people didn't know how to use them, and now they're everywhere. And Toby, I know you have probably some opinions on that, but the QR codes I feel were vastly underutilized or used incorrectly, and now I'm like, hell yeah, now it's time to finally get the power of them.
Mhm. How
The
are you?
education is just informing the consumer to open up their camera app. That's it. Historically, you used to have a separate app to read a QR code. Now they just got to flip their phone, pull up the camera. So as long as you can just kind of just spell that out quickly, like open up your camera and just put it there, we've seen a lot of trial with it.
Awesome. Reed, how are you using QR codes at Reds? Are you using it with your loyalty program or in-store ordering or?
Yeah, we actually just switched over on the back of our menu. It's like download our app and just a link. And there's a really cool link that regardless of device, it'll open the app store in each, Android or iOS so that it goes to the right one. And, instead of having the traditional Apple and then Android version. So we didn't put that on our menus, on in-store POP. We actually, the little disc that you see is like stand here. So for social distancing, we put a QR code on right where you stand so people can look down. And, we took down about a year and a half ago, we took down our traditional menu boards with the prices and all that stuff. We found that people did that awkward, like stare above the head and like make a decision. And we took that away. And we give people menus now, but then we replace those with sales messages. So whether it is about our lunch offerings, our catering offerings, or downloading our app. And once you get in the app, you're gonna sign up or log in and we're there. So
awesome. Toby, can you tell us about some of the misconceptions that are commonly held when it comes to loyalty programs?
Sure, happy to. First of all, I want to echo what Al said before, which is for a long time the restaurant industry kind of looked at IT with a fair amount of disdain. It's an obstacle to getting in the way of the customer experience. And boy, thank God a lot of restaurant companies had that obstacle over the last couple of months, because without it, I think the industry would have taken an even bigger hit. So kudos to all the folks out there who are doing IT and have had challenges every year to get their budgets renewed. I think they're going to have less of a challenge next year. So we look forward to that. As it relates to loyalty, I think that both Reed and Al have hit the nail on the head in that loyalty isn't a silo that exists within your organization, but is part of a concerted effort to get a guest. And you really have to ask yourself a couple of questions when you're looking at loyalty. First of all, who is the guest? Where is the guest? What do they want? And ultimately, what are they willing to do or pay for? And if you can't answer those questions and get that information out of your loyalty program, then your loyalty program isn't serving you. A loyalty program should be a circular conversation. So if all it is a guest comes in and gets stuff and leaves and decides when they stop the conversation and there's little value to you, then all you're doing is giving food away. And I contend that sometimes it's like a hamster wheel, which we teach bad behavior. Every 9 you get one, every 9 you get one, every 9 you get one. And all we're doing then is teaching them bad behavior, that when they cash in their last one, maybe that's when I get off the hamster wheel. Whereas some loyalty programs are now starting to look at things like ideal customization. So I not only know where the guest is, but I know their preferences, likes, dislikes, and I now put an asynchronous engine in place too. So to Al's point, maybe I do give them something the first time, but I don't give them something the second time. Or my program is such that it could be something as nominal as just being the first one to know about something. We've had clients of ours who have microbreweries, or will tap different types of beers during different times of the season. How about you're the only one to know about it, or a special night event, or things like that? It's really about convenience, and it's about personalization. So many cases, it's not about reducing our price. And that's one of the challenges that so many franchised organizations have, is they look at loyalty as just a race to the bottom, if you will, with margins being tight as they are, with what's going on with COVID today, and just further depressing transaction counts. Loyalty is a way to reach out to the people who have shown that they have a passion for your brand, and getting them to help you with your renaissance, bringing your brand back. So we've talked about a couple of things before, but it's all about how you collect that data and what you do with that data. It's not good enough just to say you have a program, but how do you then personalize that? And we can take some cues from some of the other industries. Retail does it very, very well. The grocery business does it incredibly well. And I think Reed hit it before. If I've got a customer who's a vegan, I'm not going to offer them a sausage pizza. I need to move them upscale. I'd like to move them from a smaller to a larger. If they're not buying some of my indulgent products, I want them to look at those. And loyalty becomes part of that, one of those arrows in the quiver, along with a digital strategy, along with an online ordering strategy. And then I track what's happened last time. So when I offered Reed this offer, did he take it? Did he not? Did he move up brand? Did he not? Did he substitute? And those types of things. And if I can get that information from my loyalty, basically who they are, where they are, what they're willing to pay for, and what they're willing to do, I've got a successful loyalty program.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's actually really interesting where you talk about, like, it's like, I'm not a big soccer fan, but like, I believe it's the Premier League or something, or in Europe, is if you're on the bottom of this, the best league, and you're the worst two teams, you move down. And then if you're at the top of the middle tier, you move up. And so you're like constantly, your idea of, or you have this guest, and did they take the offer? Okay, they become a little bit more invested in the business, or you didn't. You're either less invested in it, or we just hit you on the wrong offer. And how to make that delta change.
A good loyalty program has an invisible tier program, or you don't know what tier you're in. And what you're talking about is a relegation program. So the idea is that if you're not taking me up on my offers, any of them, I relegate you. And then maybe I do kick another offer to you. I give you another opportunity, but I do reward those people that take care of me in different ways. It's just not known to them. I don't want to teach my best customers bad behavior.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to brands that are doing a good job with personalization and convenience, are there loyalty programs either in the restaurant space or retail space that you think have implemented some best practices that we should look at?
I think there are organizations that are headed there.
Here, of course.
I think the hotel industry is doing a better job than the restaurant industry is. I think there's a greater degree of maturity, and I think you're going to see that the restaurant industry is going to take a page out of the hotel industry. One of the things that the hotel industry has done very well, which is a completely different topic, is they've been able to manage the third party sellers, the Orbits, the Expedias, and folks like that. And the restaurant industry is going to need to learn to do the same thing with the likes of Uber Eats and DoorDash and all of those guys who are eating so much of the margin away. The hotel industry used their loyalty as the kryptonite to be able to fight off the Expedias and the Orbits and things like that by saying, if you join our program now, we can give you perks such as an early check-in or an upgrade, and get around the challenges that they had of price parity within the hotel industry. The restaurant industry needs to learn that lesson, and quickly, because while COVID has been good for some pieces of business, namely the third-party guys and the delivery folks, it has not been good for profitability of restaurants. So loyalty needs to take a page out of the hotel book and start to use loyalty as a leverage to get people onto their rails and off of the third-party channels.
Awesome. So Al and Reed, do you have anything to add about how your brand is trying to convert over, perhaps, some delivery customers?
We don't use them at all. Like, okay. I have been adamant, and I could probably sit on a soapbox for about 3 days. Like, I'll have the best filibuster in life over third-party delivery. I actually texted my state senator earlier today saying, hey, California is looking at not allowing third-party, and I'm like, can we do this here in Minnesota? Not having them automatically put you on their platforms if you're not a partner for them. I like the idea of them as a funnel to get people into your program. Or I hate the word program, by the way. I feel like it's like, ugh, it's just gross. But like, if we can use them as a funnel to hey, we know that the marketing acquisition cost is going to be X, and move them over. The problem is the data. The problem is they have bigger budgets than I do, and they, where we go with ghost kitchens and all these other things, they could just spin up a brand that, based on what your customers like. And so, I feel like it's a deal with the devil, and I feel like at some point they're going to really put the screws to the industry. And I personally don't buy from them,
Mhm.
and I don't
Mhm.
work with them. So
Mhm. Al, do you have anything to add?
I'm not in that camp. I do work with them, and it
They
is a
provide
large part of our
valuable
business.
service.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
provide
I
valuable-
mean, look, it can be looked as an acquisition tool as well to read, but then again, it's about education, right? And it's about transitioning that guest from a third party to your own internal channels.
Mhm.
Typically, the way to do it, and that I've seen, or at least attempted to do it, is again through that education. You talk about pricing, and the cheapest to the end consumer, right? Educating the guest that if you order directly through our online ordering channels, it is going to be the cheapest. You're not going to be paying all these fees and service charges, etc. The only real important part is that you have to offer that service to the guest. If they're expecting to get something to their front door, you have to be able to provide that same exact experience if they come to you. If you have a disconnect and you say it's pickup only, typically you're not going to get the transaction to complete, because they have a certain level of expectation when they're attempting to do that. But what I've also seen too is that from all of my research and data that I've discovered, is the consumer is loyal to the third party. They are loyal to DoorDash, they're loyal to Uber, they're loyal to Grubhub. So if I'm not on that channel, or if I choose to do exclusivity or whatever, I'm missing out on revenue. If I'm not on the selection, if I'm not a choice, I'm not going to be there. It's very rare that somebody goes to a DSP to says, because I want X brand. They're going there because I'm hungry, and they're scrolling and they're making a decision. I mean, obviously there's some deterrence in there, delivery fees, times, and what's in there. Obviously, you've seen the third parties come out with their own loyalty programs, right? Dash Pass, et cetera. They're doing their own. They're doing their own way to keep the consumer there. So for me, it's about price, educating the consumer that it's the easiest way, that you can replicate exactly what they're getting from the third party and make sure they know about. And again, it's education. So we're doing that mostly through the to-go bags that are going out, again, with a slip in there. But I'm also incentivizing that guest to place their next order directly with us. So I'm giving them a % off their next order if they're ordering directly through us and not the third party. And those bags are obviously targeted with a specific marketing material, collateral that goes into those bags.
Awesome. Well, also here at Restaurant Next, we have a lively panel discussion about native delivery, and where industry experts and restaurant operators talk about how they're approaching native delivery and using it as a complement to third-party delivery services. So I suggest you check that out if that topic is of interest. I want to thank my panelists here today for being part of Restaurant Next. Thank you.